All right, as we've been talking about, of course, the ongoing situation across northern Minnesota, the Superior National Forest, the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness, of course, portions near Ely and other towns around there where there are, there's the ready, set, go system there in terms of evacuations. More on the go now and more on the be set to go. Joining us now to talk more about the latest of the wildfires burning up there and the the situation in terms of evacuation, St. Louis County Sheriff Gordon Ramsay. No, this is a very, very busy time for you, so we appreciate you taking a few minutes with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Sure. What is the latest from your standpoint in St. Louis County? And I know you're assisting other agencies around there, so what's happening right now?
Well, yesterday was a big day for fires. The small fires that began last week really expanded significantly. Many of them moved up into Canada, but these fires exist from one end of the boundary waters to the other. And yesterday, they all grew in size, some of them significantly. So today, we're watching the smoke, we're watching the winds, and holding our breath, hoping that it doesn't change and move south.
Yeah, let's talk about the scope of the evacuation orders at this point. Looking at the map here, where the go areas are in red, there's more of them now. I mean, how big of an area, how would you describe to people how many areas are affected by the go evacuation orders?
Well, a significant amount of the area around the boundary waters and areas where people live or have seasonal cabins around the boundary waters and in the Superior National Forest are covered by those. The conditions here yesterday were there was temperatures into the 100s with 20% humidity. That was really more like what they get in the desert versus northern Minnesota. So today it's a little cooler, but it's still very dry. And we have serious concerns about the winds. And we are encouraging everybody who's up here to pay attention to any warnings, any alerts, and changing conditions.
Okay, so in terms of, again, these evacuations, the GO system says to close all your windows, leave your doors unlocked, leave exterior lights on, make sure you have evacuation routes. What is the effort from your standpoint in trying to facilitate that people are following these orders?
Right. Well, obviously, we want to make sure people are educated and have the information. We know that we saw how rapidly these fires moved yesterday. There was one near the St. Louis County lake border that went from nothing in the morning to, by the end of the day and early morning hours, it was about 4,000 acres and went about 6 miles. So these things move rapidly, and we're focusing on education. We want voluntary compliance with people to keep them safe. We don't want to be having to rescue people and pull firefighters away if we don't have to. But education and just making sure everybody's aware of what's happening and doing our best to work with our partners and keep people safe is really our goal today.
At this point, too, we should point out, I mean, I haven't seen any reports of any properties damaged at this point. Is that correct?
There may be some remote cabins. We know there was a place on an island outside of Ely that went up, some type of cabin yesterday that may not have been connected to these fires or not, but there has been property loss. It's too early to say how many and where at this point.
Okay. Do you have any count on the number of people that may be under these evacuation orders in terms of the population?
Fortunately, it's pretty rural areas. Right north of Ely is our biggest concern today, potentially the Crane Lake area on the other side of the boundary waters, Superior National Forest. Those are the primary areas that we're paying attention to today. But we also know there's still potentially thousands of people, we don't have an exact number, that are still in the boundary waters at this time.
Yeah, and I see that there have been rangers out there trying to find people and notify them to get them out of there. What do you expect now as you get briefings from your partners here? What do you expect in the next 1, 2, even 3 days?
Well, many of these fires, particularly those that are very remote, probably will burn throughout the rest of the summer into the fall, and maybe even to the point where we have snowfall that will put them out, according to the fire experts at the Forest Service. So some of these fires are just going to burn forever. The focus is around where there's property and where people are and keeping them safe at this point. Today, it's watching the winds, watching the air quality, and doing everything we can to keep people informed.
Okay, and lastly, we should clarify too, and I've seen some reporting on this about notifying the people who are inside the boundary waters. As you mentioned, hard to get an accurate count of how many remain, but this is an effort with crews on canoes going out to try to find people. I mean, can you tell us a little bit more about the process there and the challenges?
Well, just the sheer size of the boundary waters and trying to make sure people are aware is a challenge in itself. There is a fair amount of phone coverage up there, so we are also putting alerts out to those people that have their phones on or are able to receive messages that these alerts are happening. But that is a challenge that really is pretty rare in the world of notifying the public, where you cannot get to people because of technology or whatever. So yeah, a lot of it's lake to lake paddling.
Lake to lake paddling, the old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned
again, in
way,
the
yeah.
spirit of the boundary waters, I guess, but in the time of emergency, certainly some additional challenges. Sheriff, thanks for taking some time out of a very busy time for you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for covering.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
You bet. We'll keep in touch.